Hey there, folks. Before we begin, I would really appreciate it if you'd be willing to go search up the BIPOC Streamer Awards and cast your vote for the Chatterbox Award for the Winging It podcast, because we're up for it for this year, and we'd really like to potentially win that. So if you could do us a favor, head over there and make that vote for us, that would be highly appreciated. On with the discussion. Hey there, folks. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy, and I'm going to be dropping on you another Gamer's Memory discussion. And as you already saw the title, this one is actually, it was like late teens, mid to late teens. Spending a lot of time with my nieces. They were almost always around me. At least two of them anyway. They were pretty much always around me. And they liked watching me play video games. Seems like a lot of kids like to watch me play video games. But they would watch me play a lot of different games. And oftentimes I'd just be joking with them while I'm playing the game, keeping them entertained and making sure that they see what's going on in the game. And if there was anything, depending on the type of game I was playing, try to explain what was going on in the game to them, so that they understood, could tell right from wrong in case they were ever like in a situation in person that they could run into that would be similar to a video game. But one day in at my mother's job, I found a copy of SmackDown Know Your Role. And I know it was SmackDown Know Your Role. It was the greatest hits version, I believe. I actually still have the disc. It's just on a shelf covered by many other PS2 games, and I honestly don't want to dig it out. But the disc was scratched and it is cracked dead in the center, which I didn't think it would work. I remember when I found it because my mother worked at a hotel, and I was helping her out. So I found it. I found it, and it was sticky and gummy. Like whoever threw it away didn't really care about taking care of their stuff. But when I found it, I got curious. I was like, okay, I have more than enough stuff to clean this disc off, and I have my PS2. So I'm going to go ahead, take it, clean it off, make sure, but like the disc, for the cracks to be where they were, the disc itself, where the information wasn't scratched. Believe it or not. But I went ahead, cleaned it off, ran it through my disc doctor, and it still worked. I put it in my PS2. It took a moment to load. I'll admit that. It took a moment for it to load to the PS2, but it still worked. It still worked perfectly fine. Like every now and again, the game would freeze. That's probably a result of the damage to the center of the disc. But those freezes were few and far in between. But after I got used to playing the game, and I would play it kind of often, my nieces watched me play this thing multiple times. I think I did that season over and over and over again several times, so I could see all of the little different cutscenes and situations that happen when you do different things. Like if you decide while you're a wrestler that you want to go ahead and shoot a movie, they give you a fake injury, have someone jump you, then you're out for like 6 months for the movie to be shot. And other stuff like that, and becoming the Grand Slam champion, even though that didn't require getting all of the belts, but you could get all of the belts. So yeah, I fiddled with that game a lot. And one thing I did was fill up all of my created character slots. I filled up all of them. every single one of them. I made enough characters to fill in all of those slots. And I decided that I would, just because I wanted to see what would happen with the AI, because I wasn't sure, but I had basically done a wrestling league where all of my wrestlers wrestled each other. And I made a list, wrote it out, and did wins and losses against everybody else. So I kept good track of it. Like, I kept very good track of it. My nieces were watching with me the whole time. Like, they were excited to watch all of the AI wrestlers take each other on. Now, if I can find that memory card, which I'm pretty sure I know where it is, I find that memory card and I can get my PS2 hooked up to my why am I having such a hard time? If I can get my PS2 hooked up to my computer, I will definitely show that list of wrestlers, because I came up with a bunch of wrestlers. Each one had a personality, and I was like, okay, we're going to do this. So I think it only took about 2 to 3 days to fully have it done, but I'm pretty sure it was on a weekend that I sat with them and we watched each and every one of my created wrestlers take each other on, from the very first match down to the last. I want to say it was around, because I think you have like 30 character slots. So if everybody has roughly 29 matches, I mean, you're looking at around, I want to say, I think it'd be around 131 matches. If my math is off, it's off, but I think it's 131 matches. But we sat and watched all of those matches. Like, I upped the difficulty to its maximum so that they would be the longest matches that they were, which they all looked at. For the time, that game was pretty decent, and all of the matches looked really well. Looked really good. But I remember my nieces getting excited for certain characters to be on screen wrestling each other, because when I came up with the characters, and they would watch me make the characters. So when I was coming up with the characters, I gave them an idea of what the characters' personalities were as I was making them, which also played into how hyped up they were for certain characters. They each had their favorites among them. And I even still, when I play a wrestling game now, I still use the mental templates I had for those characters for some of them. Some games, you don't really have all the same stuff in it to recreate the personality the same way. So I don't do it for every game. But there was a set of characters that I had come up with specifically. And I always put these characters in whatever new wrestling game I have. And that's because I took the names that they gave you for announcements. So there was Spade, there was Wolf, and there was Tank. Spade and Wolf were twin brothers. Tank was the older brother, even though they all looked damn near identical. But that's how I came up with the character. I mean, like, those were my main 3 characters. Like, those were the ones I would usually play with when I played. But those were also the favorites. I think the older niece, her favorite was Spade, and the younger niece, her favorite was Wolf. And I made their movesets very similar. Like, if they had a move that was the same, I'd swap to a different variant of the same move or something that looked similar. And it seemed to fit the personalities of the characters that I had created very well. It is just like one of those things where I sat down with my nieces. I would just remember sitting down, had snacks, and food and stuff. And we just sat, and I was giving commentary for the matches while they were watching them. They would be laughing and having fun with the whole experience. And that's something I wish I could go back to. Like, because those are types of moments that they stick with you. Like, it's something, it might seem so minuscule and so minor to so many other pieces of other people. Goodness. So many other people. But I know it still had an impact on them for their lives. I'm pretty sure right now, if I were to call them up on the phone, either one of them, and say, do you remember when I had the PS2 wrestling game and I made all of the characters and y'all would sit with me and I'd do commentary on the matches and talk about the characters as everything was going on? And I'm pretty sure they'd say yes. And that they remembered it, they really enjoyed it, and probably would want to do something similar like it again if I ever decide to. Because I do have kids and great nieces and nephews now that would probably sit down for me to do something like that. That probably wouldn't be a bad idea to start doing that. Like, if I get the more recent WWE game, or if I meant to pick up AEW, if I pick up that, create a bunch of characters, and then do match commentary, like cut the commentators off and do my own commentary, that might actually be pretty cool to do. I might consider doing that now, if I find time to do it. But it's just one of those things, like, I had that experience with my nieces, and it's been a part of my mental landscape for pretty much all of my life, all of my adult life at the very least. That is, doing stuff like that is how I look at treating kids and treating family. Like, you want to do stuff that everybody can get engrossed in and just have fun and relax and be able to enjoy each other's company. And it's something that gets missed a lot with families. That's why we notice when people are arguing and fighting all the time with each other, and being able to have moments like that are highly important. Like I said, if I could ever go back to just relive that, I would go back, relive those moments, and laugh about them and smile and crack up over it. Because it was fun. Like, it was me as a 15, 16-year-old and my little nieces just chilling out. Like, and people would be like, well, how could you chill out and have fun with little kids like that? Because I didn't treat them like they were burdened. I thought of them as parts of my family, which they are, and treated them like I wanted them to be around. As you should do with family members. Even though I do understand there are certain special family circumstances that don't allow that. But it's one of those things I would love to go back to doing. I kind of started doing that with later wrestling games with my own kids, but that was the origin of it. That's where it started. And I do wish I had a way to record all that stuff. Like, if I had like an old VCR or whatever that I could have recorded those matches, that would have been so much fun. But I didn't have that, and unfortunately I can't go back, and I don't know where that notebook went, because I know for a fact in that notebook the character Spade, which was actually my very first created wrestler in that game, won every one of his matches. Like, legitimately. Again, I could get my nieces to verify that. But he won every single one of his matches, and it was like the only person, and he won every single one of his matches, and the only one that got close to being at his record was his twin Wolf, who lost to Spade and Tank. That was it. That was the closest one to his winning streak. Which was kind of funny. It's like I almost made the perfect wrestler with him, and then his brother was like an offshoot of that, but he was close to perfect but not perfect. Sort of like Cash Earn and Dio. Now that I think about it. I created Cash Earning Dio before Cash Earning Dio existed. Oh, man. But either way, it's one of those things that I appreciate as a person, remembering and having that memory. So I don't want to. I've already dragged the story out because it's not like I can go into detail of every single one of the matches. But that's pretty much it. Thank you guys very much for listening in. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games and peace out, everybody. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy, and I'd like to thank you once again for tuning in. If you would be interested in supporting my efforts in content creation, please head on over to Amazon and look up The Game Idea Guy Presents Gaming Word Search, and you will find both Volume 1 and Volume 2 up for sale. Thank you very much once again, and I hope to be able to create more content for you in the future. Peace out.